Personal finance, happy Friday. Hope all is well. We're going to continue looking at reconciling our checkbook. All right. So, again, that's reconcile or reconciliation. Um, Really, you need two things. You need the check register, right? And yesterday we looked at one. You need the bank statement. All right. That's going to come from the bank. That's the report that they kick out for you every month. And then a reconciliation worksheet. And again, that was one that was blank. We had them in Excel files yesterday. And the bottom line is you want to follow the following steps in order to solve that riddle, right? What is the actual balance in my checking account? Because the bottom line is, and I know you're thinking this, well, can I just look at my phone? Can I just always know what my balance is? Yes, but that is the balance that your bank knows about. Okay, it's not the balance that you and your bank together know about. Okay. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you place a deposit into your account, you're at home, you fill out a deposit slip, right? And you put in the fact that you've got $100 in cash you're going to take to the bank, you can write it in your check register. But that is only written in your check register. That money doesn't actually get into the bank until you actually get to the bank and actually deposit it into the account, right? So that's kind of a silly example. You're like, all right, well, Mr. Obviously, it's just minutes in between the time that I write it down and it actually gets in. True, but it's the checks and some other things, especially with electronic funds being transferred so easily these days that you really need to be careful of. So, for instance, you write a check. By the time you write it out, put it into your checking account register, right? Your bank doesn't know about it sometimes for a couple of days, sometimes longer, or sometimes if that check gets lost in the mail, they'll never know about it. And how will you know that the other person never received it? Well, if it's a company you owe money to, the following month they'll send you another bill, and oh, by the way, they'll tack on $35 for being late or whatever their late fee is, right? So that's one way or one concern. Another concern is today it is so easy for you to lose track of what you are spending because you can have electronic funds transferred. What do I mean by that? Well, you can go into your account and simply, um, whether it's Venmo or whether it's eBay or whether it's whatever tool you use online to pay, it's easy to use your checking account, right? And if you don't remember that you've done that, you'll forget about the fact that you've transferred money. Also, now again, you're like, okay, but I mean, I'm the one that transferred it. I should remember. True. The other issue is when, especially with scams or someone trying to steal your money. Maybe a situation where money is coming out of your account and you're like, wait a second, I didn't authorize that. Well, every month when you go to reconcile your account to see what's actually in your checking account, that's where you're going to know if something went wrong or someone tried to take money out of your account that was not authorized to do so. And if you catch that right away, it's much easier, all right, to get your money back than if perhaps it's 3 months down the road. Okay. So there's several reasons why you want to reconcile your account. The bottom line is you need to know what's in your account, because if you think you have $100, right, and you go spend 90, right, that means you think you're going to have $10 left over. But if you were wrong, if you actually only had $60 in your account because you forgot something that happened, right, or you had a fee you didn't realize hit your checking account, you're going to then spend that $90 and it's going to put you under zero. And at that point, your check, if you write it, is going to come back. It's going to bounce, and you're going to have a $35 fee, and or you're going to have a situation where the uh, the money is not there and you go below zero and you can't buy or can't get whatever it is that you were hoping to with that $80 that you thought was there but really is not there. So again, that's the biggest thing. Why is it important? So that you don't go below zero is really what it comes down to, and so that you, like we've always said, know where your money's going. All right, so what are those steps? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to match your checkbook register. Again, that's the thing you create. All right, page 2 down below, with the bank statement, which the bank creates and sends to you. That's page 3 down below. Now, if you find there's a transaction that is on the checkbook, right, If a transaction that is on the checkbook register appears in the bank account statement, you're going to check it off. That's a good thing. Basically, you and the bank both agree on that transaction. That is a perfect situation. And that goes into your register in that check mark, or I had an X yesterday. All right. So this helps you determine if the transactions in your checkbook register are not in the bank account statement. For example, you wrote a check to a friend, but they haven't cashed it yet. So it's not going to show up on your bank statement. But you need to remember that that is going to come out of that bank account eventually, right? So again, so that you know the checks you've written out, even if the bank doesn't know yet. Okay, now the opposite may be the case. If a transaction appears in your bank account statement, but not in your checkbook register, right? You want to add it to your register. So this would be a situation where perhaps you had a fee. All right, the bank charged you a $5 fee or a $15 fee because you were below balance, below the $100 minimum that you said you would keep in there, right? You need to put that in your checkbook register, right? So it's kind of simple. If it's not in your checkbook register, but it is in your bank account statement, and you agree that, oh yeah, that's right, I did have that fee. Oh, that's right, I went to the ATM and it was a $40 transaction, and I forgot there was a $4 fee along with it. I didn't write that down in my checkbook register. The bank, of course, charged me. I see that it was recorded by the bank. Well, then now you need to add it to your checkbook register. All right. Again, as long as it's legitimate, as long as you definitely agree that that should have happened. Okay, now the opposite. If a transaction appears in your check register, but it's not yet in your bank account statement, all right? So you know that this thing happened, but the bank doesn't know yet because of the timing, all right? That is what you're going to put in the checking account reconciliation worksheet. All right. So how do you know when you're done? Well, your checkbook register balance matches the adjusted ending balance in the worksheet. So let's look at that. All right. So here's a sample completed checkbook register. Okay. Now they're using the double line method of entry. So check number 6801 on September 1st was written out to the Athletic Shoe Company in the amount of $55.63. So they simply carry that over. And now it's a basic simple math 500 minus the 55 gives you the 444.37. All right. The line here represents the decimal point. All right. So your new balance is $44.37. Right. And then you had a little description there for running shoes. Right. Okay, next thing happens a couple days later is a deposit. Your work paycheck gets directly deposited. It's $235, right? You add the 444, which is your starting balance, to this new 235 to get down to 679. So again, these are all of the transactions that happen, right? By the way, can you quickly tell how many of these are checks? How can you quickly know without, obviously you didn't write these things out, without looking back and saying, oh, ATM, that's not, oh, paycheck, that's not. Well, it has to be anything that's a subtraction or a withdrawal, right? Well, the easy way to know which ones are checks is right here, item number. Check number 6801, 2, 3, and 4. So there's 4 checks on here. All right. This is a refund check. It's a check, but it's not a check you wrote. So you don't put the check number here. That's money that's coming into you. It's a deposit. All right. So now we have that completed checkbook register. Now let's scroll down. We kept track all month of September. Now we scroll down and we see that here's our sample bank statement. Again, we have our header information that we talked about. We have the credit union information, right? Same as a bank, pretty much. We have the customer, Thomas Anderson, living in anywhere, not Mount Pleasant, but Pleasant Road. Statement closing date is September 30. Right? So what was the beginning date? September 1, right? The beginning balance, notice it's August 30th, right? It's the previous beginning balance, $500. So what they do is here, they kind of show you real quick, all the deposits and other additions together, 590. And then the checks paid out is 122, right? So what is the closing balance? 967.12. All right. So I am not crazy with how they actually wrote this out. I like the fact that they're split out differently. But basically, remember how I told you yesterday, they're usually split out into check transactions and non-check transactions, all of them together. Well, here they just put everything together chronologically in order. August 30th, there was a beginning balance of $500, right? On September 1st, you wrote the check for 55.63. You're now down to a balance of 44. You had payroll of 235. You had a check, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're down to 96,712. All right, that's the balance according to the bank. 96712. Remember that for a second. But what do you say is actually in there? 95726. Okay, so is there a mistake? Not necessarily. Is it possible there's a mistake somewhere? Yes. It is possible that you simply added wrong, right? Or even the bank added wrong. Oh, that doesn't happen very much. But anyway, be careful with that, right? Or you thought this was a 9-0 when you wrote it, right? But actually brought it over here as a 0-0, right? This is 15 and 50 for 1550, right? So there's definitely ways that you can make small mistakes. But the question is, do I have $957.26 in my bank account? Or do I have, like the bank says, 967 and 12? Okay. So that's what reconciliation is all about. With a reconciliation, what you're going to do is walk down through each step. In this case, you're going to say, I like to start with the bank statement. Bank statement has a beginning balance of 500. Check number 6801 for 5563. So now I come up here, check number 6801 for 5563. That looks good. I'm going to, let me see if this works. I'm going to check this off here. And I'm going to continue my way down through. This is going to obviously mess up. Can I even, no, I can't even do what I want there. I can't scroll down. Where'd my tools go? So we've checked off the athletic shoe one, and now we're coming down for the next one. In this case, it's the work paycheck, $235. So we flip down and we see, sure enough, payroll, $235. Now, what I like to do, and I usually print this out so I have it with me, is I actually check this off saying, hey, got that one. And now the 235, right? I'm going to scroll back up top. And here's my 235. I am also going to check that one off. All right. So anytime I put a checkbox, I check in here, I'm also checking off in the bank statement. Check one, check both. Check number 6803, right? $25, 6803. Come up here. Do I see it? Check number 6803, $25. I see it. Now, I obviously missed check 6802. Is that a problem? Did I miss something? Well, I'm not sure yet. So we just need to continue through. All right, that brings us down to ATM withdrawal of 1550. ATM withdrawal of 1550. Now, I actually shouldn't be checking it until I see it up here, but for the sake of time, I know I saw it a minute ago, 1550. And also, I should be checking in the checkbox here, right? Not over where I did. Did I move the whole document since? Let me clean it up a little bit. All right, you're not going to use the fee column. You're going to use the check column, which is what is listed right here. All right. So that was the 1550. Now I come down here and I notice my next thing is payroll 355. Again, I'm kind of cheating to make it a little faster. Normally you'd go back and forth and not until you see it in both places are you going to check it. But at 355 is good. All right, down below, what else do we have? Energy plus 2675. All right. And okay, there it is, Energy Plus 2675. So I can check in both places. Extra little dot there, but we'll be all right. Again, we are reconciling the account. We're making sure that the things that are in our bank statement are in our check register and vice versa. So I have a closing, or I don't have any other transactions here. All right, so that's it. I am confirming 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 check marks here, and then up above I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but I have a bunch of items that have not been checked off. Is that a problem? Well, not really. Is it an error? No, not necessarily at all. Bottom line is, I just have some transactions that I've done, that I've recorded, that my bank doesn't know about yet. All right. So kind of odd that I wrote a check for groceries on the 6th and it still hasn't gotten in by the end of the month, cleared by the end of the month, but it's possible. Now, this one to Aria Dason for viola lessons on September 28th. I'm not real shocked that didn't make it. You're handing it to a person on the 28th. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't even the 29th or the 30th until you had the class, or you put it in the mail. It got several days later. So the fact that that one didn't clear, that one doesn't surprise me. The fact that I wrote down a refund check for September 28th and it didn't get in yet, again, it's probably just a matter of timing to the bank. Whereas this one, though, kind of strange. That would be September 6th and it still hasn't cleared. But life happens, it happens. So, what do we do next? That's where we walk down and we look at the bank reconciliation worksheet. Okay, so what are our steps? All right, we come back up to our steps. Match the checkbook register with the bank statement. We just did that. All right. Now, if a transaction appears in the bank account statement that is not in your check register, be sure to add it. So, did we have anything in our bank account statement that was not in our check register? Well, it looks like we checked off all the transactions. This was simply beginning and a closing balance. So, there is no step there for us. Step number 2 is taken care of. Okay. The bank did not record something that we didn't. So, we're fine. All right. Now, if a transaction appears in the check register that is not in your bank account statement, list that in the checking account reconciliation worksheet. So we certainly have that. We have 1, 2, 3 transactions that aren't here. So we need to put them in here. So outstanding checks, we're going to list them here. Outstanding checks all the way back up top. There is outstanding check for 2236. This should be interesting trying to write in here, but we'll give it our best shot. 22. Yeah, that's ugly, but you get the idea. 36. Yeah. And that was actually check number what? That was actually check number 6802. All right. For lack of time here, I'm just going to not write that in. 6802. Now I also have 6804 for $23, right? So I'm going to write that one in $23, right? And obviously I would stay in the lines if I could. This is difficult. It's a zeros, so I'm just going to put it as a straight line. You've seen me do that before. And we also have one deposit of $35.50, right? So that one is going to go over here. Plus deposits not shown. 35, not easy. 50. Okay, so we need to come back over to outstanding checks. We have 36 cents for a total. And then 2 and the 3 brings that to a 5, and the 2 and the 2 brings that to a 4. We have 45.36. All right. So here's the question. Ending balance shown on this statement. What is this statement? Well, the statement is here, right? This is the bank statement. Okay. So we have 967 and 12 cents. That is going to go up here. 967 looks like a 4. 967 and 12 cents. That's going to look like a Z, but that's okay. This is a 9. Okay, good. 967 and 12 cents plus the deposit's not shown here. I mean, think about that, right? The idea is we have a bank statement. We have deposits written on our side that they don't know about yet. So we need to add it to the balance that the bank knows about. because as soon as they get there, that's what the bank is going to do, right? So what is my subtotal? 2. 1 and 5 makes 6. Remember, we're adding here. 7 and 5. 12. 6 plus 1 is 7. Plus 3 gives us 10. We're going to throw the 1 up there to make it 502 and 62. All right. Now, what's next? Less, meaning subtract the total outstanding checks. Where are they? Right down here. So we would put that here. Not easy, but I'll do my best to get it in this line. 45, right? 36. Okay, right. So we have equals the adjusted ending balance. Because this says less, it means I'm going to subtract. So I have the 2 minus the 6, which brings me to a 6, right? I need to subtract from 1 over here, right? 5 minus 3 brings me to a 2, right? The 2 minus the 5 gets me back to a 7, right? And then this becomes 49 minus the 4. What'd I do? How'd I do? 457.26 is my ending balance. This adjusted ending balance shown above should agree with, I'm reading underneath here, with the balance shown in your checkbook register. 457 and 26. So let's remember that dollar amount, 457.26. Do we have that? 457.26. We don't. I'm way off. 457.26. I'm $500 off. Oh boy. That's why we reconcile. 457. Why? Yeah, because right here, this was a 9, right? And this was a 5. Why is this a 5? I don't know why it's a 5. Because I think I screwed up, right? So this was $967. I added 35 to it, and I came up to 500. So obviously it was me thinking that was a 4, but it's not. So this is a 9, right? So 967 plus 35 obviously brings me to 1,000. And $2 minus the 45 is going to bring me to a 957. How'd I do? Making up for my silly math. But why is it silly math? Because right there I had a number that didn't look good, right? Difficult for me to use the excuse I'm using the pointer here. But if you're using your own handwritten notes, which is how I normally would do it, well, you need to make sure that you are writing legibly, right? We've learned that from the second grade in math. And here it was a $500 mistake, but we found it, and we're good. 957.26. Whoops, didn't mean to write that. 957.26, and that is what we needed right up here. 957.26. Okay, so last thing, you have now reconciled, right? You have reconciled your bank account. Okay, now, does that mean that I go back out here and check off these in red? No, don't do that. Why not? Think about it. Because the same thing is going to happen next month. And when you use this, these guys are already going to be checked off. That means they've been cleared. That's what this check mark is for, that this transaction has cleared the bank. This one hasn't. You're going to mark it off hopefully next month when Food and Shop, their accounting department better move a little faster. We'll get theirs done. All right. And cash your money into their account. So then next month you would mark it off. All right. So you have come to the end of this listening. We will work on one of these ourselves next week. It's a little bit of a process, so I'm going to show it to you twice before I have you actually do an assignment. So simply mark this as done. Maybe I'll have a question for you. The question will be, what is this represent? What is the check mark? It's for a cleared transaction. And that is one of the questions I'm about to ask you. All right, easy enough. With that, stay well. Have a good weekend. With any luck, we'll see you soon. Bye now.